Minnesota Congressman Keith Ellison is the first Muslim American to be elected to Congress. There are now only 2 in Congress. Congressman, thank you very much. First of all, how do you respond to the rhetoric you hear from candidates, including, I must say, at least one Democratic governor, Maggie Hassan in New Hampshire, who's running for the Senate, who are trying to stop the flow of refugees from Syria?
I think we just have to assure them that we do have a substantial program in place that over the course of many years, more than 15 years since 2001, has vetted and screened a great deal of refugees from war-torn places, some of whom where there's active terrorists in those countries and have been incredibly successful. And so there's really no reason to fear. There are multiple screening levels, and I think that if there is a reason to bolster the program, we can do that as we go. We don't need a whole new program. We don't need a pause. What we need to do is move forward. This is already a lengthy process, 18 to 24 months, sometimes 3 years. But the truth is, America is a country that is the country of the Statue of Liberty, where we welcome, people who have been abused and mistreated by dictatorial governments fleeing. And we cannot change our national character simply because of what Daesh wants us to do. They're trying to terrorize us. They're trying to make us afraid. Therefore, I asked us to acknowledge the legitimate concern and be safe, but to not give in to the fear and say we are going to stay America. We're going to stay, the land of the free, home of the brave, that is welcoming to people who need our help in times of great peril.
Now, the Speaker, Paul Ryan, was speaking just moments ago about these proposals, which may be voted on as early as tomorrow, as soon as tomorrow, to pause the refugee program. Let's see that.
People understand the plight of those fleeing the Middle East, but they also want basic assurances for the safety of this country. We can be compassionate, and we can also be safe. That's what the bill that we're bringing up tomorrow is all about. It calls for a new standard of verification for refugees from Syria and Iraq. It would mean a pause in the program until we can be certain beyond any doubt that those coming here are not a threat. I also want to point out that we will not have a religious test, only a security test.
What is your reaction to that?
The rhetoric is good, but the bill is bad. The bill makes a threshold so high that it's impossible to see how anybody will get through that. I don't think we need a new law. I think what we need is to use the law that we have that has been successful, and what we need to do is if we need to, strengthen it, we can do that, but we don't need a new law. I think it is important that the Speaker said there be no religious test. He's right to say so, and I'm glad he said it. And I just want to say that, in terms of our rhetoric is important, so I agree with the Speaker with that. But the law that he is proposing, the bill that he puts in front of Congress, is not necessary. It will cause even more delay. Now, here's the other problem with it. Not only is it, I think, not the right thing, not the American thing to try to close the doors to our country, but it's actually tactically a mistake because Daesh, also known as ISIS, this terrorist group is trying to argue that the West, the United States included, is merciless, that they are against Muslims. And this is not true. It's not true at all. But if we allow them to scare us into closing our doors, they will use that to say to the refugees, see, we told you, these people don't want you, and they don't care that you're suffering. They will use that message to recruit, and they will use that message to advance their cause. I don't believe we should do that. I believe we should say that we are the United States. We have a program. It's been working. We're happy to improve it, but we're not going to change our narrative, and we're not going to let Daesh dictate the narrative to us.
Now, let me ask you to explain to our viewers, you refer to Daesh, as does John Kerry, as has the president. It's an acronym in Arabic. You prefer that over ISIS, ISIL, or the Islamic State. Tell me why you give our viewers a better understanding of why.
Because ISIL stands for Islamic State. They are neither Islamic nor are they a state. Daesh is an acronym as well, but it refers to, it is interpreted by many people as meaning that they are ones who trample on others, or that they are bigots who exclude other people and press down other people. And Daesh has said that they will cut out the tongue of anyone they hear using it. So I'm not going to call them what they want to be called. I'm going to call them what they are, which is terrorists, which do not represent any faith, including my own. They represent the seeking of power by violent means, and they must be stood up to.
And let me ask you about the visa waiver program, which is what many of the Intelligence Committee leaders in the Senate have been complaining about, because they say that that is a bigger problem than the refugee program, because the refugees, the applicants, are vetted by Homeland, and it takes 18 to 24 months. But the visa waiver program from 38 European countries lets people get into Europe, and there are more than 40 million stolen passports floating around Europe. Once they get a European passport, they have very easy access to the United States.
Well, I think we need to join with our European neighbors and help them strengthen their program. I think we are all in this together. We should not seek the comfort in saying, well, that's a European problem, not an American problem. No, Daesh is all of our problem, and we need to band together. So I think that this is part of the cooperation that I hope continues to happen as we respond in an appropriate way. I also want to mention, Andrea, that it's a very good thing that President Obama and Vladimir Putin and other world leaders got together in Vienna to start talking about bringing together a world concert to bring this conflict to an end. We need a timeline for Bashar al-Assad to leave. This all started when he began shooting nonviolent protesters and has metastasized into the mess we have now. But I think that world leaders getting all on the same page, agreeing that there needs to be an orderly departure of Assad, and also a concerted effort to stop ISIS is the right track. We've got to keep our focus on that, because you know, it's good to help the refugees, and I'm all in favor of that, but I think the refugees themselves would rather not be refugees. That means we got to stop this crisis.
Thank you so much, Congressman. Thanks for being with us today.
Thank you.
And up next.